We're live on the first ever Freestyle Conversations. We have no script. We're going to wing it. And the reason why we can do that is because we're actually friends in real life. Perhaps more than friends. There's
Sometimes.
a little, there's a more like family, as most of you people would know out there what that's like. But I really wanted to find out certain things that I met you when you were 17, and I wanted to know, you had lived in so many places. This was always on my mind because I remember when we first met, you were like, I met you in Detroit at a show.
Yeah.
But then I remember you were saying you lived in Texas, but I knew there were more. So let's do it chronological order. Born in?
Port Jefferson, Long Island.
Then went to?
Staten Island.
Then?
Houston, Texas.
Then?
Oh, no, I'm lying. I'm sorry. After Port Jeff, we went to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we went to Queens for a day.
A day?
A day.
What was the reason for the day? Like, again,
the furniture didn't fit through the front door.
Wow. And then where'd you end up?
Staten Island.
And that's for a while?
Yeah.
Until
on
how
and
old?
off for a long time.
So this really goes on and on. I mean, we're talking, it could have been 10 to 20 moves.
Yeah. Oh, easy.
This is why I wanted to ask you that. Did you find that in your life, did the multiple moves, do you think, shape your personality in one way or the other? Did you either have to become a chameleon to fit in? Were you able to make new friends quickly? Was it hard? Did it depend on place to place? But I really was curious about that because I had moved a few times when I was younger and I had different experiences each time.
Definitely different experiences each time.
So what happened?
So we moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma. My father was a teacher, and
What subject?
He taught everything. Yeah, I don't remember, back in the day, but I remember the last thing I remember, he taught science. He was also a doctor of child psychology at Long Island University. But when I was little, and we lived in, I guess we went from Port Jeff to Quorum, and then Brooklyn. I was there from when I was 2 to 4. And then 4 years old, we moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma, because my father got a teaching job and also had a television show called Let's Talk About Kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, but back to what I asked you was really, how did it affect you?
It shaped me, and I guess there's the positives and the negatives. It definitely taught me that I could make it anywhere, that I could, I'm like, I guess it made me a little chameleon. I kind of fit in wherever I was at that time.
Because you're going Houston, Tulsa, Brooklyn, Staten Island.
Staten Island, back to Houston, back to Staten Island, back to Houston, then I lived in Detroit. I lived in Canada for a month.
And I remember you living in Philly for a period of time.
I lived in Philly right before my son was born.
So your son is born in Philly?
Yeah, he was born in Philly.
What hospital?
Thomas Jefferson.
That's where I was born.
And he was the biggest preemie in hospital history.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I was born at Jeff.
Yeah.
Quite a few years
before
your son.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll be 28 this year.
So then, and this was on my mind too. What's the earliest memory you have of your exposure to music in terms of it having an impact on you, where you were not just like la 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 la, but you were like, whoa?
Well, my everybody in my family, on both sides, my mother and my father, everybody sings. My father, I remember him having a voice like Johnny Mathis.
Really?
Yeah, him and his brothers. He had 5 brothers. They had a group called Charisma. Back in the day before I was born. And I guess, brotherly stuff took a hold of that and that got dismantled. But my father always sang. My brother always played the drums. My mom always sang, in church and stuff like that. But I think I always grew up in a very musical family.
When you said the Johnny Mathis comment, something triggered in me because the smoky quality to your own voice, that to me, so I've spent my life maybe with 500,000 singers, right? And part of how we ended up working together again was I needed that. It couldn't be just super pop girl. It had to really have that smoky quality. But what people may not know is that if they check out your first album, there's a version of Love Won't Let Me Wait that is a Philly soul classic. And this 17-year-old, little peon, walks in and goes right in there and just cranks it out. 0 auto-tune, 0 anything. If you get a chance, the first album is called What Are You Looking At? And It's Love Won't Let Me Wait.
Yeah.
It's I don't think there's one line of backing vocal. I think she cut it and I was like, that's done. That was one of the cooler experiences that I had producing, particularly because sometimes it's more fun to produce the stuff that's not dance.
Yeah.
It seems to be more
that was an
challenging.
unexpected record for me. I wasn't sure how to feel about it because again, it's
That
this
was another
very
Corey Robbins.
old soulful record.
That was
And
another Corey Robbins, who was the president
yeah,
of Robbins
Robbins
Entertainment, BMG.
Entertainment.
And I think that's really something that's interesting too, is that so you don't go from an indie to a major. And people have to remember that Corey Robbins had Profile Records, which is Run DMC. Run DMC was not on Def Jam, and that's what people generally think because of Russell Simmons, right? Raw bass, and just tons and tons of hits. And so you get on Robbins as a 17-year-old. So how does it even occur? Where are you singing? Who finds you? In the most succinct terms you can, how do you end up at Robbins? Because that's not just like a normal thing.
Yeah, no, it really happened so fast. I was actually kind of living on the streets at the time.
Where?
In Staten Island, all over the place. I was like,
what do you mean,
couch
just couch surfing?
Yeah, it was. My family was completely dismantled at that point.
So you're like a brown bag blowing in the wind.
Yeah,
and then somebody hears you where singing?
I was actually working as a cocktail waitress at 17. On Staten Island, and one of the girls that was working there had to leave. She was the bartender, and she had to leave, and she asked me to cover. It was like a lunch thing, and I said sure. I had no idea what I was doing,
right.
But the DJ was playing "Killing Me Softly" by the Fugees.
Yeah.
And I was just singing behind the bar, just kind of in my own world.
And who hears it?
Some guy that was there, he said, "Hey, would you like to audition to be one of my background singers?" And I said,
"Who was the guy? Who's the guy?"
His name was Shadi. He was working with Junior Wilson, who later on became, the one who initially signed me to my first production deal.
Okay.
But he was working on an album with Junior, and he said, "Do you want to come in and audition?" And of course, whatever.
Yeah.
So 2 days later, he picked me up, and I sat down and I sang La Bouche and "Killing Me Softly" by the Fugees for Junior. And I was so nervous. I don't even think that it was real. And I knew
where does that lead to?
Well, 2 weeks later, I got my first production deal. They signed the paperwork. And then I fell in love. And while we were still working on some other stuff,
and I fell in love is not signed. It's you guys are just doing it.
We're just doing it.
Okay.
Right,
so now
it was like a production deal.
Yes.
House of Flavor Studios on Staten
I never
Island.
knew any of this. And
yeah.
I'm hoping other people do. I find it completely fascinating because of the different ways that I had to go, backdoor, sideways, backdoor, through the kitchen.
I had no idea that I was going to be a singer. I wanted to be an attorney. So I knew I could sing. I knew I loved it, but it wasn't like I said, I'm going to go in the studio and I'm going to write this song, or I'm going to do this cover, or, I'm going to get my tape out or whatever, to somebody. It just wasn't like that. So, 2 weeks later, I got a production deal. 2 weeks later, I was signed to Corey Robbins.
So you meet with Corey and everything?
It was so strange. I had no idea what I was doing. And, looking back, I wish I had some sort of representation because I did not sign the greatest deal, which is, the story of everyone.
Just so you don't feel bad, it's
everyone.
Common because the first deal is to get in the game. Right.
I didn't even know what that even meant. And then, 9 points and albums and this and that. I just knew that I got an advance and it got me off the streets.
Yes.
And I got an apartment and I started my life over.
So that served its purpose in a pretty
and then I started touring
way.
And just it's really my Cinderella story. I shouldn't, it had been rough, up until that point. And this was just like,
this is why
God had plans for me.
and I believe that because I like these conversations like this because I didn't have the knowledge of even the amount of times you moved, the family completely, obliterating. You're on the street singing behind a bar while you're at work, leads to a production deal, gets you to Corey Robbins. Now I'm on a major label. Now I'm touring and I'm off the street. So that's how quick life can change on a dime. And I can say, obviously, the same thing. I found myself walking anonymously through, Temple University's campus, and maybe a night later being in, or a month later being in a Casey Kasem's studio. It's like really like meeting Casey Kasem. These are things that happen that we've been through that are, to me, interesting. Like,
Yeah.
you know who Casey Kasem is?
Yeah.
So he's like America's Top 40,
Yeah.
right?
And it's so funny. They still play his countdown, which is
on Sirius.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and I remember because
I'm Casey Kasem.
Yes, I got my friend Anthony, who you've met, Anthony Monteleone, who I brought on board to really be in collage with me. But I remember exactly being in LA, and we went into Casey Kasem's studio, and he was like, "Two kooky kids are at number 39." And I was like, "Wow," because I had grown up.
You do
actually,
a very good Casey Kasem.
I can do some decent, I make a few cover records, imitate some people once in a while singing. So
not you.
No, there's not a record I won't cover.
That's it.
It's
please, I'm the cover queen. I love them.
I love it.
I love a good older record.
Well, so I'll sidebar and segue into that. So I have a theory. If you listen to even let's say Paul McCartney, Lionel Richie, Elvis Costello, songwriters, there's so few that can write a hit after 40, because my belief is that when you're teens, 20s, and 30s, you're still filled with piss and vinegar. I'm so in love. Oh my God, I'm heartbroken. This and that. Now 40, it's like, Taxman, am I getting married? Did I take the Metamucil? What do I do? Right? So now but think about it.
Yeah.
Like I'm a kid and I hear, Huey's in the news, I'm like into them. They're like a rock band. And then I hear, I'm so happy to be stuck with you. I'm like, oh no, why?
Yeah.
And I know it's the reason, because you want to know why
it's a good song.
Covered? But everything started to be a rink-a-dink-a-dink. And they were just like, because she's hard and soul. I'm like, yeah. And
I want a new drug.
Yeah. And like even that, like I was like, oh no, it's getting kind of corny. But my long-winded point was that when you're young, man, you write, you feel things. And then when you're older, like there's some other stuff starting to go on in life.
Right.
Because if you can tell me, like, what did Lionel Richie write after 40? I wrote crap after 40.
Well, with the exception of my last
Well,
album.
I want to tell you how that happened. And to me, this is fascinating. No interest in writing, except for hire. So if it's for TV, movie, be really truly a writing whore, production whore.
There it is.
Amongst, the many other businesses that I have, right? In terms of production of material, ship it, right?
Right.
It's video game music. It's all across the gamut. We've discussed it before ad nauseum. But what I found was this might have been, I was thinking about this. This was like a 2 to 3 year plan, because it's 2 years ago where I'm with Robert. And this used to be my building. It was really big, this room. And I was working on, there's a movie. It's called A Phoenician Scheme. And it's directed by Wes Anderson. I was very, very proud to be a part of it, because it was a Cannes Award-winning film. And I felt like, hey, man, I did that. I did, because you feel like, sometimes you really want to do something serious. And it was a Beethoven piece, and that I'm not trained, and I play like a bear. So it's like, I'm like, wow, they picked this. It's cool. But there's one chord that triggered Boulevard of Broken Dreams. There's one chord, and then it led to another. And then Robert was in here doing mixes with me. I said, what is she doing? And I know that we've covered this in other interviews, but I thought it warranted a 5-minute revisit. And then I said, just wait, don't say anything yet. And then more songs came to me. And then I heard Say It Right and this and that. And I said, well, I'm not the most social person, and I'm super, super private. I stay with family. I go to work. This is amazing that I'm even, this I would say is really due to you and my friendship with your manager, Paul, and Brian, that have, really made me a bit more of a social animal. But Boulevard led to, I wanted to do Say It Right, because I kept hearing it, kept populating. How was I supposed to know? I thought Almost Paradise was built for us. It always felt like a sequel to Can't We Try?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's how I felt. So then we end up hooking up, and then my daughter says, I'd really like to see you play. And this leads to Mrs. Paterno, who I always mention at Christ the King High School. Mrs. Paterno and Mr. Paterno, hello. I saw her the other night at graduation for my daughter, who is just, she's a doll. And I saw Mrs. Paterno. She's coming to
is she?
She's coming, yeah, good. She's coming to shows and to try to sneak her in for the last dress rehearsal. And that leads to my next point, is that, so now my daughter finds out more, instead of daddy does commercial things or this or that, he was a singer or this and that. And I've really kept that, just wasn't a big part of my day-to-day life, right?
Right.
I'm working, making records all day, all night, all day, all night, trying to make business happen. And life is good, life is cool. Why do you want to start this trouble again? And then as we got closer and your management and I got closer, and then working on the tracks with Rob Federici and Chris Phillips, who were just super essential in me taking, things that I had brought to an 8 and that I didn't have the ability to take to the 10. They could interpret what I wanted and do it. And Chris Phillips, you could sing him an orchestral part. The kid will play it. It's ridiculous. So this album to me is the first album that I've listened to in my free time in all my life, in all my career. And that's really the highest compliment I can pay you, because I've made a lot of albums, a lot, and we've got a lot of hits, right? But it just didn't strike me like I wanted to sit back but no, there's something about Boulevard that I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm an information society head. I'm like, this sounds like that plus an orchestra. And then I'm hearing the R&B of how was I supposed to know? And it reminded me of being a kid, sitting with headphones, listening to an entire album by an artist. And so that was really another side point that I wanted to make here, is that it was very important that we didn't do a one-off single, and that the album was built to listen from song 1 to song 10, and really a journey, right? And orchestras involved. I don't know if people know this, but you had people we had London, we had Morocco, we had Canada, California, Jersey, New York, really some of the greatest session cats that I could get on it to add, the polish. So, and then the final thing I'll say about that part of our thing in terms of the creation of the album is that I had never had an artist work so hard for the vocals, because they were built knowing that they would be of a high difficulty scale, and just go pass out those records to somebody. They're not doing them at karaoke night. It's not happening. You won't even be able to go, oh, I can't, for me to write it, I have to go, Boulevard of Broken Dreams. It's like, I can't.
I feel like that's what I have to do.
No, you're not. You're still hitting it from the gut. So that's a super high compliment. So I wanted to pay you on that.
Thank you.
And then I wanted to ask you, so we're going on the road and you're booked like mad this year, 26.
Yeah.
So we're doing our first show together, and it'll be our first show together in, I think we only played a few together in 97.
Yeah. 97.
There's a couple.
Yeah.
And I always say one of the highlights of my entire touring career was with you at Hammerstein Ballroom. That was tremendous.
Yeah.
It felt like the rafters were coming down, and that's a classic. And, to me, New York, it's like, if you can have that number 1 in New York, it's like, yo.
Yeah. New York was a big support.
It's
for a lot of the records from the first and the second album, and it's great to know that they still play a couple of the records still to this day, and I'm still involved in a lot of their shows, which is you
have a great relationship with KTU.
Yeah,
right. You guys are really solid, and one of my early contacts at Q102 in Philly is now someone you guys know real well up at KTU, Bartel. So what's up to Bartel?
Yeah, he's been instrumental playing me across the country with the stations that he.
Yeah, he was for me too, and he hopped around.
Took me with him around, so yeah, I was lucky to have that.
And I find that you really do need champions, because there's a million people that want the gig, and there's only like 2 slots. Right. I remember when think about how many big name acts couldn't get on the radio anymore. So do they really need us? No, we've had to fight just to stay relevant. And from being with me all the time that relevance is one of my favorite words, and that, how do we make a freestyle oriented album, because there's obviously more than freestyle on it, relevant in 2026. And I think that that would be my second compliment I would pay to you, is that because of the interpretations and the singing and the willingness to expose yourself raw, vocally, not physically, and was really something to watch. Like those nights, this girl was burnt, and you gave it everything. So I thank you for that. And then the questions I had were, like, what is it about? Because you love to play live.
I do.
So I feel like I'm planning surgery, right? Like if I was a surgeon, but you're just like, rock and roll to the bone.
I much prefer to be on stage, than that I would be behind the booth. I really
So, yes. Well, I
for
think it's,
sure.
yeah. And I always felt
What?
the opposite, but I can
I
see how
love,
much you come alive.
yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's 10 people, 10,000, 20,000. To me, um, what I've seen is you really just give your heart and soul to it. And
I love it up there.
so you're not faking it. You're really,
I
truly
love
loving it.
it. Yeah, I love it up there. Even, it's so, with the emotional roller coaster journey that I've been on, throughout, my career, I always feel like when I get up there, I can just let it all out. And there's been times where, I've been going through some things personally, and then I get on stage and I just feel alive and I give every ounce of myself, and then I will get off stage and just bawl. Like it's just such a release for me up there, in happy times, in sad times, in times where I just need to go, huh,
So that's
and
how you
yeah,
described how I feel when the record is made. And like so you've lived through with me on more than one occasion where I'm handing in each level of production.
this is level 1 of 6.
And then when it
This is
gets to
level 3
six
of 5.
and when it
Yeah,
gets to that final level, I do feel the different thing I feel like we've won the Super Bowl.
right. Well, I mean,
It feels that way to me.
because you take it from the bare bones, and I don't think a lot of people who aren't producers, who don't really see what it takes from your part. It's not
It's
just
hard.
lyrics. It's like getting the right keys, it's getting the right tone, it's getting the right melody, the right tempo. And then as it pieces together, changing this and there's so many, and I didn't even realize how many levels and steps it was. I'm not a producer, I
Yeah.
write here and there, but for you, I mean, it's really the bare bones, you take it from here and then to hear it gradually grow into this big, when you gave me the orchestral of
Yeah.
Almost Paradise, it was like, it went from this freestyle 2026 poppy record, that, you just kind of, it's a great vibe record, it is a great follow up. And then you gave me this beautiful orchestral, almost Titanic-y version, which made it a completely different record, and that's really gotta be a journey for you as well to
You
put
just
that
hit upon it
together.
too. So I had to have the vocalist that could do it because that record's not a throwaway. That record's ending up in movies, television, and
Yeah,
film. That's what I do for a living, right? I sometimes, well, what do you do? I make records, right?
yeah,
Every type you could think of. But a significant portion of my life and my career is about placing these songs in movies, television, and film. I will bet everything I've got. That's happening. That's not an if.
it's a great record.
That's a win. And
Yeah,
it's pretty moving and that's what I mean. You won't find a quote from me about any record I made except this album. And my wife will tell you that she's never heard me listen to my own stuff. And
I find
we listen
myself
to it.
I don't like listening to my own stuff too
No,
because I'm a big critic. I'd be like, I could have done better here," or you know what I mean? I could have
this one feels good, right?
It feels good.
And I can
Yeah,
tell by the
it's different.
reaction um, that we're hitting some people. And that's what I think this achievement is that it has any relevance at all in 2026. To me, it's like, no, we just won the Super Bowl. Then have this tour come behind it, which the things we're doing in terms of how we play is completely different than any other freestyle
Right.
act. We're just
Well, it's definitely different than what I've been doing, for a lot of my
that's what I've been
careers. It's
plotting this in my head that
yeah,
for it's what I wanted to do when I was young, and now have the ability to do, which has made it so attractive to tour with you. It's a band, it's a theatrical experience, and it'll be something that I think will be of equal quality of the album, and that's it. It has to be.
I agree. Yeah.
And I may lose stomach lining trying to get us there, but we're really, really going to get there. And we have such a nice time performing together. It's even when we've done just rehearsals and when we were young, it never really took that much because there was a really
Right,
instant chemistry, which again, can't buy it, can't make it, can't fake it.
right.
And I always go back to Can't We Try? Two relatively, a baby and a relatively young man singing a Dan Hill Von the Shepherd record. There's no auto tune.
Yeah.
Just it's very, very organic and heartfelt, and it's something that I love doing with you. And that was Corey. When Corey said to me that we were doing that, I think you thought I didn't know the song. I knew the song, but I was like, I don't know. It's like,
Well, I remember being in the booth with you, trying to work out some parts and then, I loved it. I love a good singer. I loved a good ballad. And I loved the record. So when he, discussed it and you brought it to my attention that he wanted to do this record, I mean, he made me the cover queen. He loved all these great, incredible 70s and 80s records that you made very relevant to the day and time of and made them easy for me vocally to do. There's like When I'm Gone, never in a million years
Yeah.
would I have
But here's where sometimes it bites you in the ass, and take it from somebody who's got a bunch of hits with covers, but there was, so DJ Sammy had a version of Bryan Adams' Heaven to Dance record. I had recorded it on a girl named Ira Gale, really, really lovely person, sweet girl. And she ends up #1 on KTU. Sammy's #1 on Z 100. And
right.
so when we're referring to New York
She was
radio,
on my label too.
yeah, it's Artemis, distributed by
Yeah,
BMG.
he started licensing records from overseas.
Oh, so no, Sam. Yeah, the Sammy record ends up with you.
Finished products. Yeah,
The Sammy record ends up with you
Yeah.
on, and Cascada, and
yeah,
but what I found was that making that record and then making there's a record by a group called Madhouse, which is just a Madonna cover, Like a Prayer. #1 KTU, but worldwide global smash. No one will ever know until tonight, that I have anything to do with it.
right.
Then my sister, under the group name Wise Guy Orchestra, does Mambo Italiano, and we do that with Jelly Bean Benitez. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it ends up the theme of a Disney movie. But the problem is, if you get known too much for covers,
I'm known for covers. I'll take them all day long.
Yes, but it's not true. You're not being actually fair to yourself. Let's say you and I play, and I like to call it the Big Five, right? In a Dream, I Fell in Love. They're originals.
Right. Well, yeah.
Can't We Try? Which is awesome because it's such a weird cover. Most people, that were around our age, your age, my age, didn't even know it was a cover.
Well, wait, hold on. Can't We Try really quick? You recorded it with me. That was the first time you had ever recorded it and done it?
Yeah, I never know why there's a question about that. It wasn't my idea. Corey, I submitted I'll Be There and all the other originals that I did for your album, and we covered Dream Boy, Dream Girl. But no, I never had that idea. I'd love to take credit for it. That is Corey Robbins, who was really offered me a lot of guidance.
Such controversy surrounding it sometimes. And it makes me giggle because I thought it was, I remembered kind of learning the record with you, and then,
no, I can tell you, I
had done it years before.
I can tell you that if you just go online and you just look at the back of the records, it'll tell you there was a greatest hits album that I did. I did one for myself, Little Susie, AB from TKA, this company Empire at the time, not the current Empire record company. There was that wanted to do these compilations. I think Stevie did one. And so this was a very common thing, right? Where you just did greatest hits compilations.
Right.
And you re-record them. It's just Taylor Swift re-recording her catalog because you can then own it and all this happy horse shit. So, no, and so then I cut that one with somebody else because we just didn't know each other or see each other, and just I had my sister, I had other vocalists, this and that. No real deep, dark reason. Just it was around 9/11. And I think if you look at the back of the CD, you'll just see it's like, 2001. So that controversy thing, I don't want anything to do with. I don't know about it. I don't get it.
I don't really pay much attention to it. I kind of laugh it off. I thought.
No, we're a little busy. In life,
so busy.
In our personal lives, in our professional lives. I think we both are really active. I love being and shockingly, I mean, you would attest to it. I was a pretty spirited young man, an energetic young man. So the fact that I'm really Mr. Rogers, is maybe it's not strange. I don't know, but I had clearly done whatever I wanted to do, and was like, I want to go home, get married, and let's have a family. So that's what I've been doing.
I think I was kind of, I had mentioned it a few times that, I just kind of, with all I feel like the music industry has changed so much, and the people that I was touring with just kind of took my love away from it. I wasn't quite sure if I was going to move forward. I had talked about retiring, more than once.
And that was just based on the way people were treating you?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't feel like I went from touring with the Backstreet Boys and touring the country and having a family and kind of back circle to just so many emotional things that were going on in my life personally. I just didn't feel like anywhere that I was trying to fit in musically, whether it was, because there's not too many 90 tours. I mean, there is now, but
Right.
I wasn't in, and I wasn't an 80s baby, when all these freestyle artists were touring. I was 5 when they started touring. I was little. I had no, so I didn't really feel like I was rooted with anybody personally that I was touring with now
And
in the freestyle
I'm actually
industry.
1990 forward.
Yeah. So
So I can
it was
understand what you're
rough for me to
saying.
kind of fit in. The freestyle industry, some people welcomed me, some people didn't. I don't really feel like I was given the love and the credit that I thought with, the smash records that, I had touring outside of the freestyle industry.
So,
Then I just kind of get sucked into this bubble.
but what was it that you wanted?
I just,
Is it just, let me finish this statement
okay.
because I really want to get down to it. Is it just that you want to be treated nice?
Yes.
Because
I did not have, I'm definitely a little rough around the edges. I definitely speak my mind. I didn't have a manager touring with me for most of my career, right? Which made every time there was a problem or a situation that arose, I had to then go and be my manager, my booking agent, and I had to be the buffer if things weren't going
no, it
properly. And
can't
because
work.
I was a woman, I was young, I didn't really belong anywhere with freestyle or with house music or with the 90s or with this. Like I went from a pop artist to a freestyle artist, not really, fitting and finding my place. Um, and I think I was just really taken advantage of when it came to what my value was vocally, what my value was for my shows. Um, and I, with everything that was going on personally, I needed the money. I needed the shows. So I took the shows
Right.
that were, financially just made no sense. Then to find out that, most everybody was getting paid double, triple. And I'm like, I've had 4 Billboard records. And I'm the least of, I don't, there was no respect. I was first. I was, getting, people were getting paid $7,000, $8,000. I was getting 1,500 and, just kind of thrown into the mix. And I became, you know, a bitch because I had to defend myself. I had to stick up for myself. And that just it wasn't accepted. It wasn't okay. And it just made me the problem. So
Right.
until my current manager, it was so funny. He was told by an agent that I had worked with 14, 15 years ago, oh, you're not gonna want to deal with her. She's she's trouble. She's hard to work with. This is gonna be a one and done for you. Um, and he was a great promoter. I looked forward every year to doing the shows in Massachusetts because he treated me with respect. He was kind. He was nice. I loved going on first at his shows, right? A lot of times that's like a weird position
Yeah.
to want to do, but I loved going first. One, because the crowd was great, but two, because he always just made me feel like, yes, you're going first, but it's because you've got this big old energy that just kicks off my shows. Gave me validity, gave me the credit, just the recognition, just acknowledgement, and the kindness that I received from him. And I never knew until, many years later why I enjoyed that so much, why I never ever had a problem, why I always look forward to going once a year to these shows.
Yeah.
And now, there's a little backstory. I was kind of going through some things personally, and he has now become my manager and has fought for me and has says, no, we're not going to do these shows for this. This is what you're worth. This is your value. This is why people, have been giving you a hard time. And he kind of brought it to light to me. He was like, people say, oh, she's rough to work with. Well, were you nice to her? Were you mean to her?
Because he
Did you
wasn't having that
yeah,
experience with you. So
yeah,
what's going
no.
on?
So he's like, I didn't understand it. He's seen me, rough, around the edges, and, a little feisty. And now I don't have to do that. If there's
Right.
something that I don't like, he handles it. He has a, more of a problem, with people.
Yes.
And he handles it initially. A lot of things I don't even have to deal with or, even
So let
know
me
about.
chime in because this is a really interesting point. So this could have very easily been we just make an album.
Right.
Um,
I was done, I think. I didn't know where. I don't even think he knew where the next step was for me.
well, selfishly,
Musically.
I was so relieved upon meeting your manager because it was not the stereotypical, the stereotypical guy who claims to be a manager. And he's actually become, outside of this, a very, very close friend. And a lot of I would say 50% of our discussions have nothing to do with music.
Well, he's the drummer in our band as well.
So whatever. It's an inside joke that they're trying to just make me feel bad, but they're good at it.
No, he's been practicing.
But to your point, it seems that the organization, because now it is what it is. There's multiple moving parts that are working for the quality control, the betterment, the treatment control. Like there's no option not to treat you with respect. So, yeah, I don't want us to get too much into that, but there is no option. You don't have a choice because then why would you? So, yeah, and just I would, understand sometimes. I don't know. People are mean, and it's okay. And when you get the good ones, you cling to them and you hold on to them. Very precious. Like, I've kept a very, very, very tight circle for 20, 25 years. I don't really like new friends, that thing. It's just not, it's a little too scary, especially you're raising a family. You never know what's up. You're trying to protect them. But I will say that I've seen the difference in you just even from when you were younger. And I think having this type of management, having the opposite of the people not believing you, to have a group of people that believe in you, it lifts you.
Yeah.
And I think that came out in the record. And like, it's something you were going to go on to, is that you weren't sure where this was going because it was sort of like you're just playing shows. And now, so you make an album and we actually have the second album is basically in the can. And this chapter 1 of Beautifully Broken, it has a ton of legs left. So we're not doing crap with chapter 2 for a minute. We got some things to really, really do. And
I thought it was brilliant to release not just one single, but just to be like, here's the album.
Because I think that's the difference today in the industry. So when I was super young, I had to hand in the track, get test pressings 10 days later, and then you have 6 weeks to wait for release and distribution and set up for radio. It doesn't matter now. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
And actually have the vehicles of promotion to let people know it exists and why it's relevant. And I'm seeing it happen with this. And it was my hope. And I'm just super happy to see it. And I think the reaction we're getting about the fact that we're touring together has been way beyond my expectation. I thought, like, who really gives a crap? I thought maybe the freestyle heads would care, but from talking to your management, and who's now my friend, and he's like, no, this is happening and it's going forward. And then if I'm going to bother to get ready to do one show, well, then I'm going to do a bunch of shows with you. And now, so I like to call Rachel's the complicator, and maybe if I was a superhero, I might be rule boy. I've got just rules upon rules. I won't do this. I have to have that.
I can't do this. Don't look at me like that. Look away.
It's a little. Yeah, I admit it.
I like to make things complicated for you because I feel like it just gets your juices going.
It probably does, but I like. I tend to be probably a little bit too bougie, but it's okay. I like it. And like, I want to play theaters. I want to play beautiful venues because I'm older. I don't have to play the other ones. So why listen, if God forbid I was in trouble, you're going to see me playing at Sam's Bar and Grill. Here he is. Take care of your bartenders and waitresses because they're trying to take care of you. I'm doing it. I got to play, right? But by the grace of God, thankfully you're doing right. You get your money straight. You got your family's cool. And so this, even planning the show, has been like a real artistic thing. I mean, we're working our harder than I think we've ever worked on any show. I've never put this, when I was heavy in the touring 90 to 9/11, right? No. One time we did a little band, but it was some of my friends and half the stuff wasn't plugged in. It was like craziness and it was cool and it was fun, but this is like very artistic.
Yeah. You're a big pain in the ass with it. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
But it's going to be really worth it in the end. Like, you're going to really see it and be into something. And I want to really shut my pie hole about it because I don't want to give any of the secrets away. No.
It's for me to do it like this. It's, I have been, consistently touring. And especially, this is a crazy busy year. Paul has made sure that, there's just no sleep, for anybody on our squad, Brian or Paul and
No,
myself.
my wife actually brought up your touring schedule. I was like, what the heck?
Crazy pants, right?
I said, they're not coming home.
Yeah, no, we don't. We were home for a few days and then gone again.
Just to get you here for podcast, and then we're doing
dog nannies.
Yeah, we have video footage. We have mega rehearsals tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to get everybody involved.
But I love that it's going to bring something different to the show that I've been doing for all these years. I've been, track every once in a while. We have these big shows at, Atlantic City or, wherever. And then there's a band. MGM is great, that we use them often.
But there is something cool about having your band, because now
it's so different.
You're
now.
a gang.
Yeah. We were talking about it on the way up, and I was like, I just feel like, first of all, the music that we're doing, the show tape. Is that what it's still called, by the way?
I still call it the way because I'm 90.
Show tape, you know what I mean? Yeah. Well, I was like, is it something else now? Yeah, the show tape. The songs and the element of, the zhuzh that you put into it and the bells and whistles. And I think it's just going to bring a different level of show, of course, right? That no one's seen before, but also a different level and kind of fun where, the people that are going to be on this stage with us, we've been working with, I don't want to say names and give it away, none of that. But I'm excited just to the camaraderie that I feel like we're going to have. And there's a level of goofy and a level of professionalism and a level of just striving and really rooting for each other all the way through this show that, I haven't had before. So I'm
trying to really enjoy, I was in rehearsals with just one of the musicians who's touring with us. And there's a thing that happens between musicians when they play, and it's like an unspoken language. You literally, so first you're hollering out the chords where you're going, right? And then, hey, the second rehearsal, we're just doing it. And then by the third rehearsal, you're starting to just communicate without speaking. And that's what I remembered as a kid, being in bands, 4 of us in a garage, and then finally, becoming really good. And the way I got into dance music was that all the bands I were in were getting close to getting signed, and then somebody would screw up on drugs, somebody would ruin everything. And then I was actually working security up the street from here for a teen dance, and I saw these freestyle acts playing. I was like, I like that song. I think I can make
that.
I think I can do it.
Yeah.
And then very quickly, that's how that transpired. But no, to your point, to have the opportunity to communicate musically with musicians, to have live music, I think is so critical. But as you know, I'm obsessed with the visual elements of it. And if I hear another fucking bell, I'm going to throw everything in this place around. I think having the visual...
That didn't sound violent at all. I'm going to lose my shit.
Listen, I'm more mature and older, but it's still me.
Right.
Like the fucking
so
go
what
insane.
We're saying is that should probably be put on silent.
Wait.
Almost immediately before Adam loses his mind.
Wait, I want to tell you this part. I'm really obsessed with the visuals of this show. Easily as equal to the audio. I don't think, for me to get you the show I envision you should have, that puts you and presents you in the manner that you should be, the visuals should be the exact same quality as the audio that we've just done and have done in the past and are presenting again. I think it's massively important. And
I think Paul feels the same way.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's,
and we do a lot of research.
Here's this, let's use this. And we had this in the back and the lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
good
again,
combo. We got a good squad, huh?
Yes. When you're with this is something I could have done for a living. There's not much I could have done. It was when I went to Temple.
This is Dan Rather.
When I went to Temple, my first major used to call it radio, television, and film. It was called RTF. So I'm working at a bar off South Street, and the 3 waiters and waitresses, we graduated from Temple, RTF. I'm like, uh-oh. So I switched immediately to English and pre-law. Like,
I was going to say, did you always want to be a producer, be a singer?
I wanted to be either a sports broadcaster, an attorney, or music. But music I could not shake. So
I wanted to be an attorney. That was...
So here's
what I wanted to do.
If it was, I would have had to have been a trial attorney. And then I remember my attorney at the time, he turned pages. He said, "You hear that silence? That'll be your everyday 90%." But I was like, oh no, torts amendments, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yeah.
I just love I was in debate in high school and I loved it.
When 9/11 happens, I'm getting near 30 and I'm like, I can't keep bouncing around this stage like this. And I didn't feel like doing it. I really didn't want to. And that's when I gotten first couple songs licensed to movies. And that's how I ended up doing just covering everything on planet Earth.
I mean, it was like you were here and then you were gone.
I'll tell you the night it is in Toronto. I got a #1. Robert Palmer dies that day. I remember, and I'm a big fan. And I just said, I'm never playing again. And I think this is right around 9/11. And so it was over 25 years ago. Like the thought of me playing shows with you is shocking to myself outside of myself.
Too.
Yeah. So, well, the key was my daughter. Once she said, because I'm telling you, and thank God she's a great kid. We've spoiled her so bad. And she's not spoiled. We curse so bad. She doesn't curse. Like, thank God has stepped in because we are some crazy people. But if I'm going to do all this for one, and then I'm enjoying being with you, and I'm enjoying being with Brian, and I'm enjoying being with Paul, and that's her management team.
Yeah.
So that's something you referred to. When you end up with a good crew, it changes the whole, scope. I can eat with these people.
Yeah.
I always tell the story, and I'll actually finish this up when Robert Federici and I are waiting for you guys to come down after not seeing you for a quarter of a century. I said, Rob, if she's got one of those DJs that's, you know what I mean? Like this crazy guy with a,
Well, I mean, if you watch me on social media, my history of men has not been.
And I
have not made stellar choices.
I had just seen certain stereotypical things that, as the people, there's a lot of people say they're a manager, a producer.
Oh, yeah.
And to have an actual nice guy, well-groomed businessman, successful in his own right, outside. I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus, please. This is like normal. And we've had really, I can't say it enough. And I think when you talk to him, offset, you'll find that we don't talk about music a lot. A lot of time it's, if his kid's at baseball, did he make it to Florida? What my daughter's doing? She okay? What happened with my wife? You're always at the epicenter because if not, we're afraid. So, what?
I'm sorry, huh?
What?
What?
Oh, no, and I do want to end on this. I'm afraid.
You slipped that right in
I'm
there,
afraid of her. I mean, I want the world to know, I'm really, if she goes bad.
If I go bad.
If you get in a bad mood and you go into the other woman, right? If you become that other, and it's much like myself, there's another side.
Okay.
There's no reason I want to bring out, which is why like so many times I just say yes to her, like, and it's like.
Here's what happens. He says yes to me and then
I call Paul. Yo, you got to get me out of this, Paul.
And he'll call me and he'll go, what'd you do? Listen to me.
Adam called me sweating and shaking.
45-minute conversation with Adam.
He was on the bridge. He was on the Ben Franklin Bridge today. I can't do this. So
he's crawled in a ball. His ears are bleeding.
Yes.
What did you say to him? I'm like,
but
what?
I think this is an excellent time. And I really wanted to thank you for spending the time like this. And I think we did something. My goal with this, and it just actually came to me when we got here, was, freestyle and freestyle conversations, because we really did just freestyle it, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling the truth. We had no prep.
No.
And I think I think that it's important not to. Now, hopefully I'm able to carry it and push us in a direction that makes sense, and it wasn't a waste of our time, or the viewers. But I wanted to thank you for being so honest, for being so open, and all the love that you've given to me, and even in my personal life, like if anything's going on in my family, how you're there, and I hope you feel it's reciprocated.
I do. Big brother status. Yeah, definitely.
I love you, and I'm looking forward to really doing some destruction on the road. I'm really, I want to leave it when we walk off the stage. I want people to be tired, both us and them, like they just went through something, and anything else I'll look at as a failure, and to create a little piece of pop art, which I believe your album, Beautifully Broken Chapter 1, available in all digital formats and platforms, is. Let's make some, if we're going to do it, let's make some art, and let's get out of here. We're going to film some promo videos tonight.
Yeah.
And we thank all the freestyle heads out there.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you in 25 years, but thank you guys.
He's back. He's actually real. He's not AI.
No, this is
I can kick
real.
him right in the shin or the shoe, and there he is. He's alive.
She wants to hurt me right now, so she's going to kick just hard enough that it hurts.
Do you know what I mean? Just a little bit. Thank you for having me. This was exciting.
That was cool.
I love the opportunity to, just kind of be brutally honest. A lot of people don't know my story. A lot of people don't know any, back history about me, and to have a new team, a new squad, and to be seen in a different light, not only by, the fans and the, the promoters and the people out there.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, my manager, but for you as well.
Sure.
I know you've watched for some, some
Yes.
time, and to be able to come and it's an honor for me to be able to take the stage with you again. I know it's
going to be awesome.
It's everyone's been wondering where you've been, and I feel honored not only that you made this incredible project and wanted me to be a part of it and saw something in me. It means everything.
It wasn't going to happen without you. My daughter, my wife, and you are the reason why it's happening. And then the other thing, when they say, "Hey, babe," when they say like, "Where have you been?" Like one of the things I'll say is that I'm on your TV, I'm on your radio, I'm in your movie theater. I'm never, ever far from you. I just keep my name low.
I heard you were living in Florida.
Never.
Making music.
Never.
Yeah.
Go to South Beach and Aruba and all that crap back and forth, but no.
Everyone, you can like go look, a lot of the comments, well, he's been here. Where's he been?
Nope.
Well, he's been here. He's been there. He's been doing this. He's been doing that. No.
He did the studio.
He didn't really go far.
No, went to the studio, home, to the beach, studio, home.
Yeah.
Beach, studio, home. That's it.
Here we are. He's alive. He's real.
We're out.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Freestyle Conversations, episode 1. Woo! Fun with Flags, Sheldon Cooper.
There it is.
We out.